Oh, recording in progress. Okay, got it. Okay.
Well,
So now
now it's like it's been one of those. Well, it's morning for you guys. It's afternoon for for me, and it is
oh,
what.
okay.
Yeah, I'm out of the country, so my day is
Oh,
your
wow.
night. So
Oh, wow. Okay. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's why we switched it. So it's 6 p.m. here, but
Okay.
it's 9 a.m. there.
Yep. That's right.
So I'm keeping my time, but I'm just changing everybody else's time.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah.
All right. So I sent out the topics because we're for a while there, and we'll get to this like later on. Um, I was hearing like women talk about they weren't finding formulas for the babies in the stores. And for a long time, they weren't saying they were too busy on this other silliness that they were talking about. And I'm thinking like, okay, we have a food shortage, we have a
That's
gas
bad.
shortage,
That
and now
happened here. That's
we
here where we're at. People in the line at a store, they kept asking the managers, these are pregnant women, right? And what
hmm,
our church has done is that they are creating a massive food bank inside of a gymnasium because they said there is no way that they can see pregnant mothers go without formula. But not every church has the means, the
hmm,
space, or the money. I asked the guy, how much does this cost? And he told me an estimated $5.2 million worth of food is in that facility. Most people don't have the resources to even attempt to do that. Do you know how much
hmm,
storage that takes to store refrigerated stuff? That's millions of dollars.
hmm. So and then how do they get the money? Are they one of those mega churches, those big churches that they have the
We
resources?
Yeah, what we do at Mercy Culture is we also serve the public, and these massive churches are coming together to create like a massive storehouse. And this is in case of a federal emergency. So if you're a member of a church, I advise anybody to become a member of a church, religious body, something that you can feel comfortable with seriously, because these churches, they don't have those back rooms for nothing. These back rooms of these
Hmm,
churches, they talk about emergency plans, they talk about disasters. They talk about any and everything that you can think of based on the Bible. So if the Bible
hmm,
talks about, for example, about famine, right? The church prepares itself for famine. And that's why they're spending hundreds, if not millions of dollars to store food in massive buildings. I mean, this is Texas. We have buildings
hmm.
that's as big as 8 football fields. You can feed several million people.
Wow. And
Eight
we have this commercial that always runs. I don't know if you heard it, Alan, and it's always talking about buy this supply of food. And I don't know if they charge. I don't know if they charge like $200 or something like that. It's a sealed food that you can buy. I guess if you
I
can
bought
afford like
some. Yep, it works. It's good. Yep, it works because during the pandemic, people bought it. You shake it and you can heat it up. Yep.
wow. Have you tried that, Alan?
There are different types of survival foods out there, some of them freeze dried and able to be kept for 25 years without, as long as they're not open, as long as they're still
Right.
sealed, you're okay. Of course, you've got MREs, which are meals ready to eat, and those are available. Some of them have heating elements within the packaging
Yep.
so that, all you got to do is just open it and eat it. Uh,
Right.
Hmm.
Using the package. Others of them obviously have some other stuff, but
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
it's good stuff. It's rather expensive in the short run
But it's
sometimes,
worth it.
but it is worth it in
It is.
the aspect of you do get 3 months worth of single servings, and some
Right.
companies offer 3 months worth of food for 4 people, things like that.
That's a
So you
lot.
can spend in the short term quite a bit of money, but in
Yeah.
the long term, it's something that's is quite necessary.
Yeah.
Things like rice, wheat, beans, um, other.
Potatoes. But meat though was all they had an emergency packet in meat because meat has to be refrigerated. A lot of people will turn into dried beef jerky out here. Texas is a farming state, and they are purchasing. I'm serious. I tell people, look at the massive amounts of buildings that's being purchased out here just to store food. There is something coming. And like I told somebody, I eat 8 meals a day. So during the pandemic, they would go and count what was in my cart. Right. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm buying this with my money and I can only have 2 milks when I normally buy 4 milks, or I normally all of that was being controlled. Right. And I would have to go to multiple grocery stores just to get what I eat. I eat 8 meals a day in the emergency. That's not really efficient. So I was down to eating 3 meals a day because of some of the restrictions on milk, potatoes. We're talking about basic of the basic stuff that I'm buying with my money, and I'm only restricted to 2 bags at the time during the pandemic. And this is why I tell people it's important to have water in your house stacked up, or a supplier. Like I know a guy who can manufacture water by the millions. His name is Thug Is a Water. Thug Is a Water. This dude has a manufacturing plant where he makes his own water. Where
is that due to pulling the water out of the atmosphere using some sort of machine? Is that how that's done, or is the water distilled in some way via dew point? How does that work? Do you know?
It is the way his water is pumped through massive filters. They're huge. Like the filters are big. We're talking about industrial size type stuff. And that water, he also works with a company that deals with mountain water, things like that, to have it as fresh as humanly possible. And this guy, he has done a wonderful job. His water comes in aluminum containers or stainless steel containers, which means in an emergency, stainless steel, you can also heat up stuff, right? So you can't do that in a plastic bottle. You can't hold plastic over a fire, right? So
let's transition over to another topic. Let's talk about baby formula. Baby formula is something that you are hard pressed to get here in America. And they are doing exactly, Ashton, what you have experienced over the pandemic when they limited some of your supply purchases.
They did.
Oftentimes, baby formula is only purchasable even online. Sometimes maybe they'll only offer 3 cans per purchase. And anybody that has had a child knows that a can,
they drink more than 3 cans.
A can of formula just doesn't last all that long. So 3 cans sure is not going to feed your kid through the month.
No.
No.
So how do we fix this? A lot of people have transitioned over to formula, and this has been over a 20-30 year process, and even longer. A lot of folks were actually encouraged to go ahead and go to formula rather than using a more natural method of breastfeeding. Some people obviously are unable to breastfeed and things like that, but so there, the advent of formula was an awesome thing. And there were some hiccups in the 70s and 80s with some of the formula recalls, and most recently, formula recalls have also taken place, contributing to the current shortage we're facing.
Now, wait, did you look up like where they make the formula? Is it in this country or is it in another country? Like we got our medications from China, which I don't like that because they can slip something in there. Where are they making this formula? Now, did you look that up?
Some of the formula is indeed manufactured out of the country. There are, of course, manufacturers that perhaps, I want to say allegedly or potentially, just for the Disinformation Governance Board, I wouldn't want to spread disinformation or anything.
Right.
So,
Right.
so allegedly, there are other countries which we import our baby formula from, much like our medications, much like our medical supplies, much like our chips that go into all of our electronics.
Why do we do this? Why are we using other countries? Because
okay.
I'm 30 years old.
Okay, I could tell you. President Nixon in 1970, I think 2 or 3, went to after he took our dollar off the gold, where now our dollar is not really valued at anything. It's because you used to pay $1, you could get 1 pound of gold, but now he separate that. After he did that, he decided to go over to China, and he said, "This looks like a company that we can help you help yourself by having you setting up manufacturing companies over there, and then we can get stuff over here for cheaper because your economy is a lot smaller than our economy, even though you have these thousands and hundreds and thousands of people." So that's how it got started, and then step by step, we just kept shipping.
Can it be reversed? Because none of it, like when I look at the mathematical stuff, I told somebody, and this is how America can solve the problem right now, is by allowing the manufacture of critical infrastructure, meaning anything dealing with bridges, road, all those materials stay here, medication stay here, PPE stay here, anything that deals with critical stuff that needs to stay here. Now, if you want to manufacture toys and clothes overseas, be my guest. I don't care what businesses do. I'm only talking about solving the problem of not having enough of the emergency supplies. Our church said this. Our church said we need to come together and start storing PPE equipment and start storing all this stuff. This is why these churches and these people, man, they're building all these massive storehouses, not just for food. They're going to store PPE and equipment in there. You know what I mean?
What would happen is, it's like these politicians are not very good at math, because the last infrastructure bill we passed, 10% was towards physical infrastructure, and the rest for all this other toy whistles and bells. So first we got to get some politicians that
social justice bill that got passed, whereas 10% was actual physical infrastructure. The other 90% went to what's called human infrastructure.
Okay.
Right.
Is that food or what? I mean, because I was looking at that too. What is that for?
No.
Human infrastructure is a little bit more, shall we say, insidious. They're, in my mind, this is just in my mind, in my opinion. Okay. There are psychological operations which are allegedly or potentially employed when these types of things happen. Human infrastructure is dividing the country into sects, different groupings.
Well, that's what creates the civil war. I don't know if you want to keep dividing, because I was telling my friend,
No, this is just what's going on. I'm not saying that I want to divide the country. This is what, in my mind, is taking place. Okay. When you have your basic Republican or Democrat pitted against each other because of a certain decision made, that is kind of what's termed as human infrastructure. So what we're looking at most recently is the leaked draft of the most recent Supreme Court decision, which it hasn't even been handed down yet.
But now they can see what's going on, because there are massive marches planned. Because see, if they hadn't happened, they wouldn't close off roads. They're talking about massive marches out here. I wasn't even born 50 years ago. And secondly, for me personally, I don't care what people choose to do with their lives, because like I told a church, they said at the church, we can only tell people that we believe that abortion is wrong, but we can't force it on people. Because I told somebody this, unless we're going to continue to give people the money to take care of their kids, I was fortunate in my life. I ain't gonna lie to anybody. I gave a child up for adoption, right? I didn't kill a child. I didn't have abortion, but not everybody has that option or a connection in their lives where they can go to somebody they know or to a place and give their child up for adoption, because there's all types of restrictions when it comes to that type of stuff. But I will say that abortion sometimes in some ways is a last resort for some women, because some women, they might have had a father walk out on them and they don't want to take care of a kid by themselves and they don't want to give it up for adoption. Hello, because they don't want the child coming back looking for them. People don't think about that stuff. They just think that
in 70,
go ahead.
In 73, when they started this, they lied to people. And when something is a good idea, you shouldn't have to lie to people. They said that the baby was just a blob. It didn't feel anything. Then in the 80s, we started getting this sonar. Then you put a picture on your refrigerator of this 6-week-old baby with this thumb in his mouth. And then we understood that, no, that's not a blob. So then they have to switch it to something else. Then they have to say, well, it doesn't feel anything. Well, then they took videos showing when they're going in with the scissors, the clip or the suction, that the baby actually jerks back. So they continue telling these lies. And if it's such a great way of birth control, why lie? And
yeah, I would hope that people wouldn't lie about it. I just want women. I don't know about politician stuff. I just know that when I look at, because my mind focuses on Main Street, because a lot of these women, they're like, man, the political stuff, we don't get it. We just know that we're poor and we don't have other options. We can't go to rich family members and ask for money, right? A lot of these people, like for me, example, my baby daddy, I have no idea where they went to. They walked out on me. So at the end of the day, I did birth a child into this world at the end of the day. I did. But at the same time, there are women out there that believe that abortion is their only option, because some women don't want a kid looking for them. When the child turns 18, they're coming looking for you, their mother. Yeah. And some people don't want that.
One of our topics down here is how do we train young boys to be more responsible? Because if these boys who are just looking to I guess sow their oats, weren't out there. I mean, there's always going to be some jerk out there doing something, but
all they want to do is have a good time. They don't care about a lot of the, my generation. I don't know how old y'all are, but I'm talking about my generation. My generation can care less if you live or die. My generation is very harsh and unforgiving, and they don't care about you. My generation is the type of generation, millennial generation, they'll record you on the cell phone while you're drowning. That actually happened, right? A dude was waving his, swear to God, dude was waving his hand saying, I need help. And the millennial people, instead of helping him, recorded him on a cell phone, watched him drown, and they were charged. So in this life, we can't sit here and watch people literally drown in their lives without offering some type of backup solution. The church has marched and said they absolutely do not want abortion. That is I'm just saying, out here in Texas,
but the government, the one thing, when it went to the federal level, it forced us, the taxpayers, to pay for this, and then it forced on a federal level, like certain organizations, if you receive tax money or federal money, to force them to put in that situation. So Catholic churches.
And do you know why they did that? Because women were going in back alleys. This is what an older lady told me, who was much older than me. She was like 80 years old. And she was like, before all this stuff, people were going to, janky doctors and and women were literally dying, right? Because they were having abortions that were not monitored, or they were trying to, what you call DIY it yourself. There are things that you cannot DIY, right? Let's be real. And so I believe that some of this stuff was put in place, like that woman said, because you don't want people doing this at home. Let's be honest. You don't want somebody to try to take a baby's life at home, right?
Well, now,
there are reasons
with technology now they have a pill that you can take at home and dispose of the baby. It's 2 steps. And now technology has moved.
This is also important to understand. The Supreme Court decision, no matter what it ends up being, if they're swayed and they decide to drop it, then whatever. or if they decide to go ahead and repeal Roe,
Wow.
it kicks back to the states. It doesn't make abortion illegal. It allows the states to decide for themselves what is best for their
But our state doesn't want it. Texas said, I'm just, that's here. I don't know about y'all, but the guy who runs our state said that if it is pretty much ruled that they can, they will outlaw it in this state. Now, for me, I'll keep it 100. I cannot have children. So I don't know what to tell women that can, except for this, is that the best decision for you as a woman, right? Because women, we're the ones that have to carry a baby, right? We're the ones that have to go through the pain. And so some people say men should have no say-so in that. I believe that men should have a say-so in that if they are helping to financially contribute to a baby. If they are not, absolutely not, because a woman has to make that decision for herself. A woman shouldn't bring a child either into this world in utter poverty. That's like writing a death sentence for your child. That's why I gave my child up for adoption, because I didn't want my child sleeping in a tree, or I didn't want my baby in circumstances that were dangerous. So I gave my child up for adoption because I knew that was financially best. And now that I look at my life, I'm glad I did, because we're sitting in the middle of a pandemic. Can you imagine taking care of a child right now and needing formula or whatever children need right now? It's very difficult, and God prepared me for such a time as this. And that's why I gave my child away for adoption, because I saw the circumstances that my child would grow up in, and I didn't want that for a baby. A child shouldn't sleep in a tree, okay?
and so here, okay, like there's companies now, they're saying we'll pay up to $4,000. We'll fly you to a place where you can, do the, destroy your baby or whatever, if you live in a state that doesn't. And here in Colorado, our governor, he's so liberal, he says you can deliver the baby and we can kill the baby after it's born. I'm not for that. That's our Colorado governor, because he wants to show how woke he is. And New York is the similar way.
Hold on, did you just say when the baby when the baby is birthed?
Yeah.
I'm not for that, guys. I'm not. I'm
not saying you are, but I'm just saying.
No, I know. But that's horrible. If somebody, any governor, like, listen up, that's a bad idea. I don't think, I'm coming from a woman's standpoint. I could never think about killing a baby that's already born, because now you can't sit there and say that baby doesn't have a heartbeat. Now you can't sit there and say that child is not whatever. You see the baby on the table. So if they do that, they're really, really wrong for that. And the church should protest that if they do that. You got good churches up there, tell them to protest.
There's one final point on this, and then we'll go ahead and move.
Okay.
B, and this is just a, something to make one think. I'm not saying one way or the other, but could this be the precursor to softening our population up? Look, we can't feed our small babies, but we don't have enough baby formula. Some women can't feed, so it's the alternative, or adoption.
That's crazy. I mean, they just got to make more products.
That's just final thought. I don't know whether it's happened that way or not, but I believe the power of prayer is in order. We are now at a juncture in our society where this is naked and out in the open. Battle, it's good.
Right.
Yeah. And I want to remind people that Exodus chapter 1, verse 16, when Pharaoh told the Hebrew women, when the babies are being born, if you see it's a boy, just deliver the baby and throw it in the water. That was for abortion back then. So we're almost like we're circling back to becoming like it was in the days of Pharaoh, when he wanted to limit the population, because he saw that the population was growing and that these people could take over the country. And I think that's like a systematic kind of thing, because we saw that happening where Bill Clinton and Biden in 1994 imprisoned a lot of men. Before that, President Johnson said, we'll give you money to take care of your kids, but you got to keep the man out of the house. So this is a systematic destruction of a group of people. Now is worldwide. We want to get rid of a lot of people.
Why are they trying to get rid of people? Because you can use people for your military for logistical use. Like, why would you want to? And this is coming from somebody, that deals with that stuff. And he said, I would never want to shrink a population. And America or any country should never do that, because what if there's a war? Now you have no supposed population that you shrunk. Like, that makes no military sense. Why would you do that?
They want it to be more like of a police state where the government has more guys with guns and military than the people, because right now over in China there's more people there than the military. And then in Venezuela 6 years ago they convinced them to get rid of all their guns. Then the only people that had guns were the military, and we see where Venezuela is now. So it's a systematic kind of thing where the government wants to get themselves in a position where they can not only tell you what to do, but they can force you to do what they want you to do. So
in Texas, they're not going to allow it. I've already, our state's not going to allow it, because this is a gun state, right? And the dude was like, hey, man, we don't care what y'all choose to do, but we're not getting rid of our guns, number one. And he gave a list of some reasons. If you live in a rural area, it takes the police 30 minutes to get to you. In that time, this is Texas. So just by the geographical layout of Texas, we need guns here. If you're not in a big city, you can forget about the police coming out to you. It takes 30 minutes, dude. In this state, if you're not in a large city, it takes an estimated 30 minutes for the police to get to you. And you think you fist to sit here and just hold and pray? No, somebody could kill your entire family in that time. And that is why.
And that happens in a lot of schools, because they want these gun-free zones. And these guys with guns, they look for those gun-free zones because they know they're the only ones with the gun. So they just go and shoot up a place. So it does.
And this is the police that are having gun-free zones, or is this you're talking about in medical facilities or people
No, in government is putting together all these gun-free zones. Schools are gun-free zones, and they don't even want like a officer even to be there with a gun. They want it to be just open range for any deranged person to come in there and shoot it up, because they
not our church. We ain't playing that over here. Let me tell you something. This is Texas. Let me tell you why. Dude walked in on Las Vegas Trail, walks into the church. This made the nightly news. Churches, they came out with this armed people, and that man, he was outnumbered. This is Texas. Folks from New York and other states, wake up, because in Texas, they're going to meet you with something. Not only are they going to meet you with the Bible, right? They're going to meet you with a weapon, okay? Because they're not trying to play that out here. A man walked into a church and started shooting and opening fire on people for no reason out here. And that is why I believe that gun rights, that people should have the right to buy guns. I don't think you should have the right to go buy bombs or dynamite, but you should have the right to go buy a gun.
Yeah. So
am I right?
Yeah. Well, one thing that does unite everybody, and that's music, folks. And let's talk about Ozzy Osbourne. Does everybody, do you know who Ozzy Osbourne is?
Yes. I've heard of that.
Yeah. Ozzy Osbourne was a heavy metal guy back in the 80s. And he is most famously known for a trick where he would bite the heads off of these rubber bats. Well, it ended up that there's a rumor going around. I don't even know if it's true or not, but they actually used a real bat as a prop in a cage so it could flap around and do its thing. And then he was supposed to grab the rubber bat and bite the head off that bat. Well, apparently, allegedly, thank you, Joe Biden, for your disinformation governance board. Anyway.
Well, what happened?
He bit the head off this bat.
Real one.
Ended up getting rabies and everything else.
And you had to get some shots.
Yeah, he had to get some shots in the stomach. Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy
Well,
Osbourne.
hold up. Why didn't they have, and this is crazy, they had rubber bats in this cage with real flapping bats. Why did they not have a separate cage for the rubber bats to be in so that he doesn't make that mistake? It's like the guy on the set that shot this lady. They had real ammunition in the I can't think of what that lady's name was. She was killed.
Yeah.
She was killed because they thought the ammunition was fake and that lady lost her life. So stuff like those mistakes can cause people to lose their lives. That's crazy.
I think with Ozzy, there was some substance abuse.
Yeah, there was some
going on
substance. This guy was, man, he has imbibed in so many things over the course of his lifetime. He must have had an iron constitution back in the day, because it took a long time for that stuff to catch up to him. Well, finally it has caught up to him, and he's now been diagnosed, I guess, with Parkinson's disease, and his health is declining.
So he recently got COVID, and his wife Sharon Osbourne, she just started her show, and they've only filmed 3 of the shows, but she had to leave the show to go take care of her husband, because he's 72, but he's not doing too well because of all the
What's
abuse
going on with him? Because I thought I saw him in a commercial or something. Maybe it was a rerun of something, but he looked good up there.
Yeah, but he's really abused his body a lot, and so so she wanted to leave the show and take care of him until he gets back on his feet, and then she will come back to the show. So so we wish him good health and everything like that, because he's provided a lot of entertainment for people, but
I tell you, he was one of my rock icons back in the day. I got to say, I like Ozzy quite a bit. He got a bad rap. Huh?
Didn't your dad know him?
Well, yeah. As a matter of fact, he'd come over to my house every so often, my dad's house, every so often, and we'd hang out and things. And we'd get calls on our home phone sometimes. His wife would be looking for him, and he'd be like, "Hey, did worry about it, Sharon, just have it my buddy Perry's house and whatever."
Oh wow.
But I mean, it's interesting because the gentleman that I know, Ozzy Osbourne, is not the gentleman that plays up on stage. He had a reputation of being this evil, Satanist guy, the Prince of Darkness.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm telling you, because I'm young, I don't know. When I saw the way he was dressed, my church was like, run. I was like, because I didn't know what. All I saw was all this crucifix stuff, some things in the background, crosses kind of looking all wicked. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. What? I didn't know. So you know him on a different level than what I would, because what I saw made me want to run. I was like, oh man, the Bible says do not judge, but I was like, brother, I'm judging that because I ain't know what was going on with all that stuff.
Well, I will tell you that he wasn't any sort of evangelist or preacher guy, but towards the time that I got to, hang out with him for about 5 years on and off, he was putting all that stuff away and started to really search for God.
That's probably best, because it had people running. Like, I never went to any of the stuff when that stuff was out. I was like, shroom. I was like, I told my friend, y'all can go. All that, just that wickedness type of vibe. To me, not that he's wicked, but I'm saying the setup and the props. You can look at the stuff. It doesn't say happy to me. It looks evil. It looks scary, and I'm like, they passed these cups out at the event. There was an event they had. The lady said the cups looked like they were supposed to be dripping blood. Right. It was paint, but it was to emulate. I said, and y'all came home with that. That's what y'all. I said, baby, I ain't drinking out of that. I said, I'm going to give me a styrofoam cup. I said, ain't no way I'm going to drink out of something that look like it's got a hand around it, and the cup looks like it's dripping blood. That is unreal, and it looked evil. It looked scary.
Let me tell you this. I once did this I went to I think it was a Protestant church, and they did the what you do when you you dump the bread into the
Communion,
wine.
yeah.
Communion.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went up there and they used the same cup, and everybody just dipped it in there. And I don't know how sanitary that was, but
Wow.
that was
Sounds
before
Yeah, you
COVID.
can't dip the bread back in there. You cannot dip it back in there. You can only dip it once and pass. I was at the church and this dude, I said, God, start over. That dude double dipped in the container. I said, you don't do that. So they had to go pour it out and start back over. You can't do that. That's embarrassing. Then the one dude picked the whole thing up. Watch this. Black dude drinks the whole thing of wine. And I said, oh my God. He takes it and pours it into a glass. I said, okay.
That's crazy.
Oh Lord. You don't do that at the church.
I know. Oh, thank you everybody for coming. Oh, don't forget to share the show. Give us a thumbs up. And also PayPal.me/Innervision Denver. We were thinking about doing a viewing for the movie 2000 Mules, but I was looking at D'Souza, and he was saying that he wanted to charge like $1,000 to get the license, and then you can charge.
Yeah, you can charge a fee and get the license to air it.
Yeah, and then I said, well, I don't know if I want to do that. So I think we just do like as somebody if we just watched it and then come back and then we'll talk about it. It'll save us a lot of money, because I could get a grant and do that, but not in the time period that
not in what they need.
Hey, folks, do me a favor. Hit the like button, share this video. If you're not subscribed, do so. And in the comments, go ahead and toss down there whether you want to see us try to get that viewed, viewable as a watch party.
That'd be awesome.
We'll get that. We'll try to get that square, but it does take some money. So
yeah, because I got 300 people, 300 or so people on my email list. If I just did a donation of $10, that'll more than cover that
what
cost.
you need. Yeah.
So
now,
we'll see if
in addition to leaving this down in the comments, what you want to see, whether you want to see it, whether you want to see this watch party, go ahead and hit us up also at info@innervisionfm.com. And that's our email address. In addition to leaving any topics that you would like to see discussed, go ahead and put down in there. Yeah, I want a watch party. I want to be invited to this watch party if you get it together. Do that thing.
That would be awesome.
Mules of the 2000 kind, or 2000 mules, whatever. It's an interesting look into the 2020 election. We'll just leave it there, because our benevolent overlords here at YouTube really kind of frown upon us touching upon the election. So
crazy. All right.
Who frowns upon you for touching on the thing? I just look at it like this, is that whatever happens with all this political stuff, I do tell people, because I'm younger than y'all, and a lot of this stuff I still try to understand, like the Democrats and Republican type stuff. I told my family, I said, why can't we just have peace and just have one large party or something where people, forget Democrats or Republicans, and just find out what ideals that everybody can just put their heads around and agree on something. Instead, we got people talking about people, mama, daddy, and stuff on TV with these Republicans and Democrats. And I'm just like, wait a minute, I don't know if I want that as a job. I'm up here talking about something related to bettering my life, right? And then you have someone that talks about you, the Republican and Democrat stuff. It is crazy how these people, I saw something where people were protesting in front of a house. I think it was the Supreme Court, someone's house, right? Private, we talk about their house, right? And I was like, I don't know if I would want people protesting we talking about my house. I wouldn't want that either. But at the same thing, I wouldn't want protesters at my personal house, right? I don't think anybody would want that at their home. Does that make sense? Because I can see why they don't.
It does make a lot of sense. And I think the idea that you're trying to leave us at the end of the show here with, Ashton, is celebrate our differences, but come together with our commonalities.
There we go. That's what we're doing. That's what we need to do. We need to figure out, because I am a millennial and everybody that's my age and backwards have said, hey, man, how come we can't just figure out how to solve these problems, get the American military out of these whatever wars you want to call it? That's not helping nobody. Ending up in wars, does that help America? No. Does that help other countries? No. So America needs to come up with what I call a peace treaty. And what that means is, hey, man, you leave us alone, we're going to leave you alone. We only implement war unless war is brought on us. We don't go seek wars. And I think America needs to get back in the business of peacetime and not seeking war or messing with other countries. If a country raises their hand and say, we don't want America there, then we should pull out and not ever help them for 40, 30 years, whatever the case may be, until they realize that America may be able to offer help. Some of these poorer countries, they need help. Like they need water, they need resources, but a lot of them don't want the help of the United States.
All right.
There's a problem.
All right. And we'll end it there, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll come up with some other
Amen.
topics. There's some fun stuff tomorrow. So God bless and